All right, y'all. So let's try this. Packet. Let's go through and talk about how we find these secondary dominants for tonics, right? So, instructions: review the material and spelling secondary dominants, then notate these secondary dominants in the specified inversions. So, another name for the chapter instead of secondary dominants would be what? What's as important as the dominant? The tonic, right? The second chapter is the leading tone chord, right? But what you're talking about is tonicization. Y'all remember that? Tonicization. That's really what's happening. You're setting a new tonal center. Everybody got it? New home base. All right? So when you're doing this, when you're going through this process, the key thing is to find out what your new tonic is. When you see this kind of thing, the secondary dominant situation with a slash, secondary dominant symbol, you need to know what the new tonic is so that you can find what the new dominant is, right? So, in the key of C sharp minor, what is the 4? F sharp, right? I'm giving that to you. Okay? So that's the first step. I would write that down. Maybe write this down steps on the page to go through this methodically. This is really the thing. Find the new tonic, right? That's the thing. Find the new tonic. So F sharp is the new tonic. What is the 5 of F sharp? Now, and then for a minute, you're going to forget the key signature at all. You're going to forget the original key signature because it doesn't matter. We're now thinking F sharp. So what is 5-7 in F sharp?
C sharp.
C sharp. So what is that chord going to be?
C sharp, E sharp, G sharp.
C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and what? B natural. So that's the chord that I need. That's it. Okay, so that's what I write. And I can write it down, high or low, either one, it doesn't matter. So C, E, G, B, and then add those sharps in.
But could you just add all the sharps or whatever ones are not keys?
Go ahead and imagine there's not a key signature, so write the sharps on the page. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, don't assume there's a key signature because there's not really a simple
So
key.
what's the point of knowing?
This is just an exercise. This is an exercise situation where you need to write the sharps and flats down, whatever accidentals.
Can we just go back to the 5? Like C sharp?
No, what do we do? So there's 2 ways to approach this, right? The steps we just did, which is that we find the new tonic, we find the 5 of that tonic, and then we write the chord down, right? And the other part of the answer is what? When the slash above the step, what does it ask you to do? Include the key signatures. Oh, it does say include key signatures and lead sheet symbols without slash. But I'm not concerned about the key signatures. Yeah, I want you to scratch that. I want you to physically write the accidentals on the note. Okay, that's what I'm more concerned about. Okay, you need to know what the key signature is, though, right? To be able to do this, to land on F sharp, you need to know the key signature for C sharp minor, right? So if you want to write that for yourself, that's fine. But I want those sharps and flats on the note so that I know that you know exactly what notes you're putting on the page. All right. Include the lead sheet symbols without slash symbols. What is the lead sheet symbol? You may know. Remember doing that way back? It's just the chord. So what is this chord? C what? C sharp, major, minor, 7, or dominant 7. Right? So that's what I want. When it says without the slash symbols, right? For those of you that again read jazz chords, that's that situation where sometimes you have like a D with a C in the bass.
Yeah.
That I don't need that. Right? So when it gives you an inversion, I don't want that kind of thing. Okay? You can just say, like on this next one, whatever the chord is, you're going to say like if it's a C, you would say C and then use the inversion symbol, okay? Make sense?
But you don't want major minor?
I do want, yeah, the quality of the
Do
chord,
I have to
yes.
write out major minor?
What it asks not to have is the slash symbols.
Yeah, okay, so, but for the first one, they just say 5/7 without having to write out major minor or dominant. Is that
I mean, it's
in this case?
implied, and if you don't write major minor 7, that's fine, it's implied, it's already there, but, I mean, to be thorough, you let, it would be major minor 7, but C sharp 7 is fine.
But
Okay.
you would write like the inversion like numbers?
Yep. Because that's what it asks for. All right, choose another one, let's do another one randomly.
Question
6, let's go to
No,
Yes.
let's do question 8.
8? Yeah, let's do one with the inversion. All right, so let me go back. So the next thing, before we do that, there's another way to do this, right? What is, I mean, and whatever is faster for you, these are, I mean, they're predictable patterns here. We're gonna have 5 of 1 is just the 5 chord, right? So 5 of 1 is not gonna exist. But then we have 5 of 2, 5 of what? 3, 5 of 4, major or minor, doesn't matter, 5 of 5, 5 of 6, if I can do it, and 5 of 7, right? Going back to the original key, what is 5 of 4? It's an altered chord of the what? The 1 chord. It's an altered 1 chord. 5 of 5 is an altered what? We've talked through this before, it's been a while, but 5 of 4 is an altered what? Well, here we are. Can y'all see? Is it messy enough for you over here? If 5 of 4 is 2, I'm sorry, if 5 of 4 is 1, what is 5 of 5? An altered 2, right? 5 of 6 is an altered 3. Keep counting. 5 of 7 is an altered 4. I'm not going to get it on the page. 5 of 2 is an altered 5, right? No, did I do that? 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 of 3 is an altered 6. So if you want to use that information, it may make your job a little faster if it doesn't confuse you.
Does it always stay in the same key? Or does the pitch, you know what I mean,
A
right?
5 of 5 is always an altered 2 chord of the original key.
Okay.
Yes.
But does it apply to all of them? Because it also applies to the 5 of 4.
It applies to all of them.
Oh,
So
okay.
a 5, that first one we just did a minute ago, was a 5 of 4. That is an altered 1 chord. It will always be. A 5 of 4 will always be an altered, modified 1 chord.
But
Right. Of the original key.
But yeah, the first pitch, the root of the new chord will always be in the original key.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Yes, Lola.
So,
Lila, sorry. I had a Lola in the previous class, my bad.
is the thing that it's altered to, is it always just gonna be what that would be in, if it's major, what it would be in minor, or do you like shift it, right? Or like.
It's not what it is in minor, the minor key, no.
So like if you had like, like 5/7, and it would go to a major 4, or would it go to like a minor 4 or something?
Oh, so the new tonic, the new tonic is what it would be in the old key, yeah. Is that what you're asking?
So I had like a 5 of a 7,
Okay.
and the 7 is like diminished because 5 it's major, and the 7 is diminished. Would the 5 of the 7?
The 5s of
Wait,
the
sorry,
secondary
wait,
dominance.
Would the thing that it is in the original key, like how it's a 4, would that be what it would be in the minor key?
Like on number 1 that we just did, 4 in a minor key would be minor. But it could be,
So So since we had a
Yes.
before, it's a 1, so it just becomes
Okay, yeah.
switch major minor.
So, yeah, I think, like, can you assume that it's gonna be abstract minor or abstract major?
In this exercise, it tells you, but the new tonic,
Wait, that's nice.
the new symbol was that you're talking about the tonic, not the dominant, right?
No. I'm talking about, okay,
Sorry.
how we just wrote out those things that like,
Mm-hmm.
what it would be in the chord. The thing that it like would be in the regular.
In the regular key, in the original key.
It's altered. Is it altered to minor from major or major from minor? Or is it altered in a different?
The new altered chord is going to be either a major triad or a major minor seventh chord, because it's a dominant chord.
Oh. So it's
Right.
major and minor.
All of these chords are going to be either, yeah, so it's altered from like 5, right, and 4 are already major chords, right? So the only one that really stands out to, the situation that applies to, is that 4 chord in a major key, right? Because it's already a major chord, but you're making it instead of the 7th chord, a major 4, 7 in a major key is going to be a major 7th chord, right? But if you if you lower the 7th, you alter the chord, and that becomes a secondary dominant, right? In a minor key, what chords are sometimes major? 6, 3, right? So those chords, again, you're gonna alter it to make it into a major minor 7th or into a major triad. The 5 is always gonna be a major or a major minor 7th chord. So however it's altered, that's it, okay? Let's go through and let's do it. Y'all said number 8. Let's keep working on it, all right? And y'all chose that because of the clef, right?
Yes.
So, the 3 in A, what is our new tonic? That's the question. C sharp. Everybody get that? That was some slow response. Let's try that again. A major. What is the 3 chord? C sharp minor, right? So C sharp is our new tonic. What is the 5? What's that?
How do you know it's minor?
The 3 chord? Because it's a lowercase 3. The 3
So
dots.
that's how you know what key it's in, is from whether it's lowercase or uppercase.
Not the key.
The key of the new.
The new tonic,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. As long as I know what that chord, what the root of the chord is, right? Where I'm going doesn't matter for this exercise.
Wait, so would it be natural, like natural minor?
Say again?
Would it always be natural minor?
So it doesn't, the new tonic key doesn't matter, because you don't really
When you-
go,
Like if there was like 5 or 6, and then it could be like melodic or something.
you're talking about the new key, the new tonic key? The new tonic key, that's why I guess that's why it's called secondary dominance, is kind of irrelevant, because sometimes you don't even go to that
You just know
chord.
the note, right?
You just need that note. You just need the note.
But if the note could be sharp or natural, or.
Well, that's based on what the original key is. That's defined by the original key. Because the 3, what I need to know, the information I need is the 3 of A major. And that's, I gotta stop there. Y'all are thinking maybe a couple of steps down the road for something else. But all I need is the 3 in A major, and that is definitely what?
C sharp.
C sharp. No question. That's all I need. I don't need the chord, I just need that note. All right? Got it? Now, what is the 5 of C sharp? C sharp minor, but just C sharp. G sharp, right?
That's why you need to know what key it is.
But you
It's
don't,
the same.
because it's always gonna be the 5 is just the perfect fifth above that note. It doesn't matter what the whole key is, right? It's always gonna be a 5 of something, or the leading tone of that.
Wouldn't it be different though, if it were minor?
No, it's not. It's a perfect fifth up, whether it's major or minor. So they can ask you the question a couple of different ways. What is the 5 of C sharp minor, or what is a perfect fifth above C sharp? It's the same answer, always.
So C sharp major, C sharp minor, the 5 is
Yeah, always. Yeah,
Does that mean
the note that is a perfect fit above the tonic of that, or the root of that chord, either way, you look at it, it's gonna be a perfect fit. Right? We'll do a quick draw with this in a minute and you'll kind of get there, all right? But that is consistent, all right? A fifth above C sharp is what? G sharp, period. Now, I'm creating a major minor 6/5 chord with G sharp, all right? So I would kind of ignore that. I would put the inversion kind of last if it confuses you, right? But let's go ahead and write out, here's my, well, you tell me, where's G sharp? Let's practice using the clef.
Space of the last space,
The bottom space is G. So that's G. I can go ahead and write the 7th chord out, each of those spaces. Let me zoom in a little better. I can go ahead and put the accidentals in. What is build a G sharp major minor 7th chord? What is that? G, B sharp, G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, and then F sharp is correct. So it's all sharps. Again, you can measure those thirds. Whatever your easiest way of getting to a major minor 7th chord is the way to do it. All right? I'm not quite done yet though. What do I need to do? Invert. And again, if you want to rewrite the chord out, that's fine, whatever way, if that helps you. But again, put those accidentals in there. And sorry, it's kind of messy with my thing. Does that make sense? And what do we call this chord? G sharp, major minor 6/5. Okay? Questions? What you're getting hung up on are the steps and kind of thrown into the new tonic and what all you need to know, right? So let's just, without writing out the chord, let's do some exercise. G major. What is 5 of G major? D. What is 5 of D? A. Right? So the chord for this answer is going to be what? The A, building a
C sharp.
major minor 7th chord. So that would be A, C sharp, E.
G. Oh, G sharp, sorry.
Is it G sharp or G?
It has to be G sharp because it's a half. No, because it's.
No, it needs to be a whole
major
step
minor
down
7.
from
Okay, yes.
A, which is G. That make sense? Once you get to that spot, don't confuse yourself by going back and forth to the key signature of the new tonic or the key signature of the other. Once you land on the right note, just build the chord. That's all you have to do. All right? Let's do another. Let's do with a minor one here. F sharp minor. What is the 7th scale degree of F sharp minor? This one you have to think a little bit more about, so I would really listen to this. F sharp, what is the 7th scale degree of F sharp minor? And how do I know that it's the subtonic or the leading tone? How would I know?
E sharp because it's only half a step below F sharp.
The E sharp is a half step below, but is that the note I'm looking for? And how would I know?
Oh, it's minor, it's a minor.
Yeah, so this is F sharp minor, right? Okay? If it's a leading tone, what would the 7 chord be? If I have if I'm using the melodic or the harmonic minor scale, what is that 7 chord going to be? It's going to be, oops. It's going to be, that 7 is going to be a diminished chord. But if I'm using the natural minor, it's going to be major. So to find that 7th scale degree, it's not E sharp, it's just what? E. Does it make sense? So you have to kind of think a little bit. This is an exercise that really kind of makes you put all the pieces together and really understand what it's asking for. So the seventh scale degree is E. Now what is 5 in the key of E? E, G, B. Is it B flat or B natural? How do you know for sure?
Natural.
How do you know? How would you double check your work? Because that's what I want you not to do, is just assume that it is whatever, or just not put the accidental on it. How do you know that B is the right note that we're going to build a chord on, and it's not B flat or B sharp? There are a few ways. There are lots of different ways,
It's
actually.
a perfect fit.
Perfect fifth. It's got to be a perfect fifth, right? And a perfect fifth above E is D, right? What's another way? You build the triad in your head, measure the thirds, right? There are other ways.
Check your key signature.
Key signature, right? You'd have to go back to the key signature of F sharp minor, right? I think it's probably easier just to measure up that perfect fifth from that. No, you don't. You don't care about the key signature of the new tonic. You don't ever touch the key signature of the new tonic. Everybody got that? The key signature of the new tonic will never be relevant because it's such, remember we're talking about what this is, this scenario of tonicization. It's like a modulation, but it's such a brief modulation that you never really get into a key signature scenario. It's just this one chord, right? So you never experience the key signature of the new tonic, okay? So E is our new tonic. The dominant is going to be built on B, so build a 5, so do I need a triad or a 7th chord?
Triad.
Triad. So what's the B major triad? B, D sharp, F sharp, right? And then I would put it in the inversion, okay? Don't worry about the key signature. But you don't when you get to that point, right? The only time you need the key signature for this exercise is what? The first step to find the new tonic. Everybody got it? You don't have to worry about key signatures after you find the new tonic. Okay? Okay? Any other questions with this? This is, again, heavy brain work because you're taking multiple steps as you go through, right? And you got to keep track of those steps. So what are the steps for this exercise? New, and that was really messy. New tonic. What's the next step? Find 5 of new tonic. What's next?
Find 3 and 5 using original key signature.
No.
No.
No, you do that, like
You just build the 5 or 5, 7 on new dominant. That's all you do. The 5 that we just found. Find a 5 or the dominant, right? Dominant scale degree, not dominant chord. There should be different terms for that, maybe. Y'all invent that, please. Somebody rewrite this book. All right?
I wish I could.
New tonic, find the dominant or the 5 of the new tonic, right? Then build that major triad or dominant 7th chord on that note. That's all. Those are the steps. Okay? Don't get confused on key signatures too much other than just finding the new tonic. That's really the only step you need the key signature for. Okay? All right. Moving on. Now we do this in reverse. We are given a chord and we have to figure out what it is the 5 of. Okay? So, let's do number 1 together. What is the chord that we have here?
Oh,
What's the
sorry,
root of the
E flat.
chord?
No.
No, it's
What's the root of the chord?
B.
G.
Are you confused on the key signature? I mean, the clef or the what?
The class.
So again, here's C. I always have to do this too. I pick C, if I see a C clef, I look at C, and then I measure up real quick. Where's the root of the chord?
Oh.
It's your top note.
The top note. How did you land there real quickly?
So the second.
Review. You find the interval of a second, and it's there, okay? So what note is that? G. So I have, and you can assume for this exercise that all of these chords are what? Two options.
Major, minor, or major.
Major triad or major minor seventh chord. All of these chords are major triads or major minor seventh
It's
chords.
just like they're not all secondary dominant.
Exactly.
Are they all major?
Well, maybe I spoke too soon. I assume they're all major or major seventh chords, but maybe not a secondary dominant chord. Let's dig through it and see. You may be right. So we have G, and let's just double check. We have G, B natural, D, and then what? Is it F natural, sharp, flat, natural? So that is a major minor seventh chord, right? Okay? Now, what is G the 5 of? You're doing backward steps now.
C.
C. So my new tonic is what?
C.
So that looks something like this, right? This is a 5 of 5/7. It's not more specifically, it's not just 5/7, but what? 5, 6, 5 of C.
That's the inversion.
Yeah.
That's the inversion. 6/5 is the inversion.
Okay.
It's just the top. The bottom note is the third, right?
Right.
Okay. So now I need to put that in relation to my, and my computer just froze. It's going to take a minute. Just real quick. Good. Okay. In relation to my to my old key signature, what is C in the key of 5? C. What is C in the key of F?
5.
5. So this is a what? 5, 6, 5 of 5. That is the answer. Did we get that? Can I do another one of these?
Please. So if it just has enough accidentals, then it's a secondary dominant.
What is secondary dominant?
I don't know. Let's see. Look, when y'all look at the chords, maybe I misspoke earlier. Maybe it is that the chords are not all major or major minor 7. Maybe that's what it is. Let's look at it and see. What is this chord? Identify this chord first, as quickly as you can. G,
B sharp.
B sharp,
G sharp, B sharp.
G sharp, D sharp, and F sharp. So is that a major minor 7th chord?
Yes.
Yes, this is a major minor 7th chord. And let's keep going with it. What is G? We already did this a minute ago. What is G sharp? Sort of, we did it closely related. But what is G sharp the 5 of? C sharp. So C sharp is my new what? Tonic, right? And yeah, so what, so it is a 5/7 of C sharp. What is C sharp in the key of E? 6, yes. So, and that would be minor 6. So that would be a 5/7 of 6.
Wait, why is it minor 6?
Because we're in a major key, E major. So that is where these two need to correlate, right? So it's going to relate to the original key.
Is it always going to be opposite?
One more time.
Is it always going to be opposite?
Going to be opposite?
Wait, if we're in a major key
No, it's whatever if you're in a major key, it's whatever the 6 is in the major key, right? A normal 6. It's 6 in a major key is minor. 6 in a minor key is what? That's where you have to know those Roman numerals, right? About what it normally is in the key. Now, here's the thing. Theoretically, in music, when you apply this, you might have a 5, 7 of 6, and you would expect the next chord to be a what? 6. But it doesn't have to match the quality of the original, right? That 6 in the actual music might be major, right? It just depending on a lot of other variables. But really, all you're worried about in that moment is what is that the 5 of, okay? Are we confused? What are you confused on?
The last thing you said.
Well, probably should not have thrown that at you. That just is not that relevant.
So how are you?
So, but I guess that my point is, hang on, in real music, you do have the situation where you have a secondary dominant, right? And you expect that next chord, the bottom, the new tonic, to be the next chord. May not always be the case. There are situations where it's not. And the situations usually are, again, the next chord is an altered chord, right? Or it is leading you down a circle of fifths pattern, and that creates a different kind of sequence, and that's a different thing. Okay? What else?
So if you were looking at, like, if they asked you, like, look at some music and, like, find the secondary dominant switch, what indicates?
How do you know? Good question. Do you want me to give you the answer, or do you want to know? How do you know that if you're looking at music, and that's actually the next thing, so let's go to that, all right? And I got a display. Any questions on that section? Do you want to go through the steps in that section before we move on? All right, so what are those steps?
Figure out what type of chord it is.
Okay, yep. Let me get, I'm almost there, hang on. So, in this section, I'm gonna go back here. 1 is what?
What type of chord is it?
Yeah, identify the chord. Right? 2 is what?
Find the new tonic?
If it is secondary dominant, then what? A secondary dominant. If it's a dominant chord or a major triad, right? If it is a dominant 7th chord or a major triad, then what is that chord the 5 of? Do you understand that question? That's the essential question, right?
What if it's not secondary dominant?
Then for this exercise, they tell you just to put an X under it, and you don't.
How would you know? How is it?
Well, let's find one that is not. Let's get there in a second.
Wait,
I mean,
you look at a
yeah, just a second. Let's go through finish these steps. What's the 3rd step?
Wait.
What is the new tonic, the something of?
Yes, that's the, so how does the new tonic, what is the new tonic in the old key, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you get that bottom, the denominator. All right, do we understand those steps?
Wait,
What is the new tonic in the old key? Right?
can you?
So to review,
Okay, yeah.
the step when we put it in place, right? First step was, what is this chord? Right? What is this chord the 5 of? When we get that letter, we say, what is that in the key? Right? You understand those steps?
I understand when you say it like that. It's hard to anyway.
It's a spinny thing, right? But if you just, I promise you, if you write those steps down and you just follow the steps, don't worry about all the other stuff, then you'll be fine, okay? Now, let's see if we can find a situation where we don't have a secondary dominant. Number 3.
Oh, I do, you're right.
What kind of chord do we have?
That's diminished.
Diminished triad. So this is not going to be a secondary dominant.
Big
So
one.
just immediately.
Now later on, later in the chapter, this is something else. So for this one, we put an X because it tells you to do that, right?
What's your thing for number 3? Because I got, like, what is the new tonic? Like,
For number 3.
yeah, like, as in the step.
So again, for this exercise, you put an X under that. It's not a secondary dominant. But it is a what? Secondary leading tone, which is what the last part of this packet does. So this is a new, it's an altered chord, yes? But it is not a major chord, major triad, or a major minor 7th chord, so it's not a secondary dominant. C sharp, though, is a leading tone to what?
D.
D. So this is a secondary leading tone chord. So this would be a 7 of 2. Does that make sense? 7, 6 of 2. Do you understand that? So we're not, this packet doesn't only deal with 5 of somethings, 5s of somethings, but it also deals with 7s of somethings. If it's a 5 or 5/7 of something, it's a major triad or a major minor 7th chord. If it's a 7 of something, what kind of chord is it?
It's leading to.
Diminished or half or fully diminished? Got it? Okay?
Yeah.
All right, we're not there yet though. Let's go to the next page. So this is putting it, as you're just saying, how do you see it in the music? All right? Label chords and non-chords, identify any 6/4 chords by type. This excerpt contains a set of parallel fifths in the context that Bach must have found acceptable. So Bach gets to break the rules, but y'all don't, is what it comes down to. Because he used them so often in this situation. Can you find them? So lots going on here. Let's think about what we would expect to see for a secondary dominant. How do we find it in the music? Right? So what are the indicators? What are things that you would look for? Accidentals. It's an altered chord, right? It's gonna have an accidental somewhere, okay? So let's look at it and see. Where's my first accidental? I'll tell you what, let's just go, it's just easier to just go through and do Roman numeral analysis just really quick. What do we start with? FAC, which is what?
Minor 1.
1, minor 1. Everybody with me?
Oh, because we're in the, okay, so it says it's after.
It says it's an F minor.
Oh, and this is A flat in there. What?
Because this is a moment where it is not necessarily in the key, it's a modulation, it's a section. Again, so you have to take multiple steps. This is why they give this to you specifically, right? Yes, you're right. We have to, but we have to, as we're reading the notes on the page, we now have to observe the key signature. Okay? Everybody got it? So you're dealing with 3 time signatures at once, or keys, not time signatures, or key signatures, sorry. Because it is an F minor, they tell you right here. Even though this is what is the key signature? E flat, or what would be the relative minor? Could be C minor, right? Would be either of those keys. But they tell you that this is an excerpt and that this is a section that should be analyzed as an F minor key. All right? Got it? So you got to look for those things. So if that's the one chord, what's the next chord?
It's a 1/7. No.
Yeah, 1.
If we put 1/7, well, look at it. What kind of 1/7? Major 1/7 would be
It
wrong
wouldn't be a 7.
because it's an altered chord. So what is this? Secondary dominant. When you have a 1 that is altered, what is it the 5 of all of a sudden?
4.
4. So we can get there real quick if you have that chart memorized, right? So it's not a 1/7. This is a 5/7 7 of 4. And is 4 major or minor in a minor key?
Mine's minor.
Minor. All right? So 5, 7 of 4 is still not really done yet, but because what?
It's
It's
5,
inverted.
6, it's 5, 4, 2.
5, 4, 2 of 4. Are y'all really getting this?
I think so.
Okay,
Nope.
It's just
feels
hard to
so
keep
much
it all in my brain.
How did I know that this was a secondary dominant chord?
Because there's not
'Cause
a
there's
major one.
Because I'm in a minor key and that they just gave me a major chord, right? So that tells me that's an altered chord, which probably is a secondary dominant, all right? That's the first step. The next step is to ask, once you know what the chord is, this is an F, major minor 7th chord. What is it the 5 of? It is the 5 of C. No, sorry. A 5 of B flat, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Just double check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
B
so
flat,
F, major minor 7th chord is the 5 of B flat. B flat in the key of F is the 4 chord.
Yeah.
Okay? We landed on that more quickly because Sophia remembered that though if you have an altered 1 chord, that is a 5 of 4. So that's how you can get there a little more quickly than taking those other steps. Do we follow?
Okay.
Do you need to recreate that chart? Somebody want to go write that up on the board? The 5 of 5 is what? An altered,
2.
so 2 columns, right? If you're not understanding the chart, I have 2 columns. I have 2 columns. This is a secondary dominant column, right? This is the altered chord. Right? Does that make sense? So a 5 of 5 is an altered what?
2.
2. Okay? And that will come in really handy. Okay? Let's keep going. What's the next chord? Isn't this fun? What do I have? So I have a B flat, D flat, B, D, F, right, which is, and is the E part of it? No, so what is that? What kind of non-chord tone? Neighboring tone. Yes. It says label all non-chord tones. Is that an accented or unaccented? Unaccented, because it's on the offbeat.
We don't
right?
have to label that, right?
You don't have to label that. I don't really care about that. B, D flat, F. What is, so it's is it an altered chord, number 1?
No.
No. It's a little tricky because there's an accidental. And so you're thinking because you see an accidental, maybe it is an altered chord. But that really would be in the key signature for F minor, right? What is the key signature for F minor? A flat, which is B, what is it?
Got 4 flats.
Yeah, 4 flats, B, E, A, and D flat, right? Okay?
Why didn't they put the 4th flat and the E?
They're making you, because you would have to do this in real music. If you were looking at the real music, this is how you'd have to analyze it. You'd have to realize that for a moment, we're in a different key. Okay? All right, what is that? What is B flat in the key of F? So what's the Roman numeral? 4, right? Which is predictable, right? It was the 5 of 4, and then the next chord's gonna be the 4. It's not always the case, there's some exceptions, but almost always that's gonna be the case, right? What's the next chord? Ooh, this is tricky, I think, depending on what rules you observe. Is it a major one or a minor one?
Minor.
Is it?
F, A flat, C. So
Yeah.
it's minor.
So, this is the tricky rule that is inconsistent, people are inconsistent with. If you have an accidental in a measure, then that accidental applies for the rest of the measure. Sometimes,
But it doesn't apply when it's octaves.
sometimes it does, no, it does apply for octaves, it does apply for octaves. What it does not always apply for is the clefs. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
What is Bob?
Yes, they do.
Huh?
They don't apply for octaves.
It does
They
apply
carry
for
through.
octaves.
Yeah, they carry through the octave.
I think it changes for.
So if you have an accidental, then this is again where the rule is inconsistent. If I have that A there and then I have another A down here, technically that's supposed to be an A natural as well. And you should be, if they want it to be an A flat, they should put a flat in front of it.
Yeah. You said the opposite earlier.
Oh, did I say it opposite?
Yeah, you said it.
It does apply for the, sorry, if I said it backwards, the accidental does apply for
Yeah.
octaves.
Okay.
Sorry if I said it wrong. But
So you're saying the
but what it is
A
not, what again, does not necessarily apply to different clefs, but sometimes it does.
Okay.
So you have to kind of know, you have to do some thinking sometimes if you're reading multiple clefs and make sure that you observe accidentals as they should be, or what, you know, you have to sometimes figure that out. Okay? It would be nice, and what in modern music, most of the time, they will put a natural, or they will put the flat with parentheses there if you want that to be the minor. Okay? You'll spend some time thinking about that in your life at some point. if
So
you-
what is the takeaway? Is it a 1?
I'm gonna read it as, the more common thing is that that's probably an A flat. So I'm gonna read that as a major, as a minor one. Okay? Hmm? Thank you, yep, good eye, 6/4. Yep, okay? Next chord, what do we got? B flat, D flat, F, and what else? And G, so what's the root of that chord? G, so so it's a G, B flat, D, D, is it D flat? Yeah, D flat, thank you, yep, and F, right, so what is that chord?
Oh.
Oh, it's like.
Oh, yeah, that was a diminished,
I
it
did
can't
all
be a
that wrong.
dominant.
It's fully diminished, no.
It's secondary dominant.
It's half diminished, right, because F natural?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but that really is just the key, right? So what is G in F sharp or F minor?
Yeah.
It's just a 2, right? So it's 2, half diminished, what else?
It's a 7, but it's a.
6, 5. Yeah?
How I thought that was a 4 with a weird anticipation of.
Because the B flat is the bass. Yeah. So, all right, next what we have? C, C, E. I got a B flat and an F too. What's going on?
Like those are not good. Wait.
Yeah, they look like they would
asked us
be.
to label non-chord tones, you might actually be right.
So-
About the 4 with an anticipation.
No, because you have the G, because the G
Yeah.
is not,
Where's
because the G is not. We're still talking about the chord before. That,
Oh, the G's
but,
still
so,
there.
yeah, the G is still here, yeah.
Oh my
That
goodness,
is,
it is.
it's still there, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got C, E, G. That's a good solid root, right? Which in the key of F is what? 5. So we can start there.
Isn't it?
Is it major?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but that's predictable. It's just the 5 of 1, right? It's not the 5 of something else, right? And then we have the F, which is what? Anticipation, exactly. Because it gets to the chord that we're going to before we're there, right? And then we also have this moving note as well. So what is that? Passing tone or what?
Oh, is it gonna be 7?
It's just the 7. It just makes that 5 a 5/7. And again, I would take either of those answers. That's a theoretical debate. If that B flat is just a passing tone, or is it just make that 5 5/7? Tyler, are you following with us, or are you having a conversation on your phone? And then what do we land on next? F, A, and F. So that's enough of the chord, it's the root and the third of the chord, right? So that's gonna be a what?
Minor one.
Minor one, and then what? F,
Minor one. Yeah.
A flat, right? C, F, and so it's still one. Okay? So it does tell you to do this though, let's see, it says identify all 6/4 chords by type. What kind of 6/4 chord is that? We have a 1/6/4, that's a passing,
And that's because the bass note.
because the bass note's moving, right? Okay? Where are the parallel fifths? Well, that stays the same, so that's not parallel. Anybody know, anybody see? We're looking for the, parallel fifths.
I can't find it.
Is it the second measure, from,
Between what two voice parts?
from,
I think that's actually it. I mean, that's the one I've found,
I
sort
found
of.
It's between the soprano and tenor, because of the carrying over,
The G, or yeah,
the G.
right. The G, so it's the, between the soprano and tenor, right? G, B flat, so G and D, right?
Oh, wait, that's C.
And then it moves down to C and F. But it doesn't really line, it doesn't really,
Wait, no, it's,
No, that's not fifth.
it's
isn't it?
C and G going
Yeah.
down to B and F.
Yeah, C and G, yeah, B and F,
C and G.
in soprano and tenor.
Oh, yes, right, because it's not there. Yeah, that's the better spot. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it kind of works from that chord before too, but that C to G is a fifth, and then to B to F, yeah. Make sense? Okay. Questions on that? And then we got all those things. All right. Do y'all want to dig into secondary leading tone
No.
chords yet, or to do that on Friday, Thursday? Today's Thursday, so we do that on Monday, right? We need to go through this Monday. And then you'll have, Tuesday will be a work day in class. You can turn the packet in at the end of the class or by the end of the day, and then the test is Thursday. Okay?
Oh my goodness. Is this what it means by sequences? Where it has,
Well, you mean the
yeah,
section A and A time?
yeah.
No, it's just talking about in one voice part, right? Sort of, but not.
The entire piece, well, your entire like musical gesture repeated one whole step up.
Yes.
In the whole part.
Is it in all parts?
Oh wait, no, not at that point.
Well, yeah, nearly. I mean, but yes, that's what it's talking about. Whether you, if it maybe
And
happens.
I need to find another one.
So for the second one, so, A, the fifth of A, B, and then for second, we find the fifth of E flat, which would be just B, or B flat.
B flat. Yeah, B flat. Yeah. That's it. Okay.
I was reading through the book last night, which is really.
Yeah.